Good evening, viewers. Welcome to Ben Television, broadcasting live from London. This is POLItricks with KO, and it's your show, it's your program. Tonight is going to be hot. First, let me welcome the new PDP into the Nigerian political terrain. Well, tonight, Nigeria, as it is known today, is a union of ethnic nationality whose civilization and statehood predates the coming of Western colonial masters. Like most colonial nations, the ethnic nationalities that make up Nigeria of today were more or less forced into a union by the British colonial agitators. After that period that the British left Nigeria, we decided to stay together as one country. Successive military governments imposed a unitary system on Nigerians. They disguised it as federalism. With the recent internal deportation of Nigerians within Nigeria and resort to ethnic nationalism by some Nigerians, it is important to look into the issues of the Nigerian national questions. We all know that we've got hunger, starvation, mass unemployment, insecurity, and brutal terrorism. Nigerian ruling elite seems to take advantage of this, and they resort to primordial sentiments in diverting the attention of the Nigerian people from the incompetence and corruption of their colleagues in power. Tonight, I'm going to have somebody who has been in government, FEMI-FANI KAYODE. He would agree with me that we've witnessed a widespread clamor for the restructuring of Nigeria from every ethnic nationality. We've got Ijos in the Niger Delta calling for Ijo Republic. We've got the Oduduwa People's Congress and OPC calling for Oduduwa Republic. We've got the Biafra, Masop calling for Biafra Republic. Some even say that there's a disguised call for Arewa Republic by the terrorist group Boko Haram. I'll be joined from Abuja by FEMI-FANI KAYODE. Fani KAYODE is no stranger to Nigerians, especially with his recent article on Igbo and the deportation of Igbos from Lagos. I call on you to join me on Twitter, tweet to at Ogundamisi with the hashtag POLItricks with KO. FEMI-FANI KAYODE, as you all know, is a Nigerian lawyer. He was a special assistant public affairs to former Nigerian President Olusegun Obasanjo. He was appointed Minister of Culture and Tourism of the Federal Republic of Nigeria from 22nd of June to November 2006. Fani KAYODE was also Minister of Aviation from November 2006 to May 2009. Fani KAYODE studied in the United Kingdom. He's a lawyer. He graduated from University of London, School of Oriental and African Studies, and Cambridge University. He also studied theology at the Christian Action Faith Bible Seminary in Ghana. Good evening, Femi. Are you with us?
Good evening, Kay. My pleasure to be here.
Well, you're welcome to POLItricks with KO. You know I'm going to go hard on you. The first question I need to ask you is, how would you justify your article on the deportation of Igbos? You said, and I quote, Igbos should learn from what happened to them in northern Nigeria and should not do the same thing in Lagos. If I quote you wrong, please just put me straight. What exactly are you trying to say?
Well, you know, there's a background to that assertion, and it's a fairly long story, but I think it's a story that's known by most people. And of course, let me just start by saying I have absolutely nothing against the Igbo people. I have many Igbo friends. But my own belief is that we need to learn from our own history, not just the Igbos, but each and every one of us as Nigerians, and each and every one of the nationalities within Nigeria. It's a very awkward and difficult thing when people come to an area that you believe is yours based on the federal structures of our country and also based on the issue of nationality, that is ethnic nationalities. For somebody to come and say that, you know, your own land or your own territory belongs to them, or that it's jointly owned, or it's no man's territory, or it's no man's land. And these are the kind of sentiments that provoke reactions from those that perhaps believe that the assertion is wrong in the first place. And I think what I was trying to say there was that we need to be careful that we don't repeat the mistakes of the past. And some of those mistakes are self-evident. And what I was trying to say in that essay is that we need to be sensitive to the way one another feel, and we need to be careful of what we say about one another. That's basically
how do we explain to a Chidinma or Ngozi that was born in Lagos, in Agege, he or she has known Lagos as the place of origin in terms of that's the place of birth. Schooled in Agege, University of Lagos, does not know any other place. Does the Igbo person born in Lagos, work in Lagos, do they not have the same right as a Raji Fashola in Lagos?
Under the constitution of our country, everybody has, anybody has the right to reside in any part of the country. There's no question about that. And nobody is advocating or suggesting that people should be sent back to wherever they came from or wherever they derived from in droves. That was never the suggestion. However, we are a federation, and we also have various ethnic nationalities in this country that make up that federation. And, the structure of Nigeria is such that it is recognized and acknowledged that certain areas belong to certain people. Now, it would seem very odd for a Yoruba man that is born, for example, in Kanu, or is born in Maiduguri, or that lives there, to turn around and say that Maiduguri is now Yoruba land or is now no man's land. That doesn't mean to say the Yoruba is not welcome there. That doesn't mean to say that they don't have a right to be there. But to claim the place as part of their own territory, as opposed to Yoruba land where they actually come from, I think is a little bit insensitive to the local people. Now,
but sorry to interrupt, is it not the same argument that elements in northern Nigeria, I mean the Boko Haram, who are saying Christians should vacate northern Nigeria, doesn't belong to them?
No, it's not. I'll tell you why it's not the same argument at all. Simply because there are many people who are of Hausa Fulani origin in what you would describe as Boko Haram territory that don't share the religious sentiments of Boko Haram. I mean, this is not a religious divide. It never has been, but it is an ethnic divide. And we are a nation made up of various nationalities and various, ethnicities. And we should be united as one. But at the same time, we should be able to recognize and acknowledge our differences and try to work them out. And that has been the bane of Nigeria's problem right from the start. I'm going
to have to cut you there. You've identified the bane of Nigeria's problem, which is the structure, and rightly, and I agree with you, the structure. We need to restructure Nigeria according to look into the ethnic nationalities that make up Nigeria. You were in government. Why didn't you push for this as minister in Obasanjo's cabinet?
All right. Good question, and I'll tell you precisely what happened. One of the reasons that I joined President Obasanjo's government in the first place was because he gave me a clear assurance that we would have some form of national conference, during his tenure. As you are probably aware, I was very much within the ranks of NADECO. I've always believed, for the last 20 years, in restructuring our country. I've always believed that to give the ethnic nationalities the relevant rights that as far as I'm concerned, that they're supposed to have, and so on and so forth, and devolution of power, all these things I've believed in for a very long time. When we got to government, or before I got to government, I had a long discussion with the president, and he assured me that he would find a way to ensure that we restructure our country and have a national conference of some sort. We wanted a sovereign national conference. There are a few of us within that government, Akin Shutoku, Julius Ihobere, and a few others, who fought very, very strongly to have a sovereign national conference. But of course, President Obasanjo's government was filled with many people that I would describe as conservatives who fought back and said no. In the end, he put in place a national conference of sorts. Not enough as far as some of us were concerned. But it didn't work out.
I would have to interrupt you. At what point within the Obasanjo administration did you realize he's betrayed your cause in terms of restructuring the country?
I wouldn't use the word betrayal. What I will say is that he decided, I mean, it was his government, not mine, and he decided that this was the way he wanted to go. Now, when you are in government, you can only make your own input and you can only make your own recommendations. You can't determine what will actually happen. And there are always struggles within any government. As far as we are concerned, I mean, as far as I was concerned, it was very clear that government was a very conservative government, but at the same time, we tried to do the right thing. And some of us that were within that government tried to ensure that the right thing was done. I think one of the failures of that administration was the fact that we did not address the national question. Yeah. And at the end of the day, we were more interested, or rather the government or the party that we belonged to was more interested in ensuring that they held power at the center. And I think that's part of the problem we have up until today.
Okay, I would want to get back to the topic of today, and that is the national question. What would be in terms of structure? What kind of structure would you propose for Nigeria? A confederation, or do you want us to have a breakaway Nigeria, Igbo Republic, a Southern Nigerian Republic? How would the Igbo people that are being deported from Lagos now, how would they live in the same Southern Nigeria with Yorubas?
No, I don't believe in the breaking up of our country. I don't believe that we should have Oduduwa or Igbo Republic or whatever. I believe in a united Nigeria. However, I do believe that Nigeria needs to be restructured on the basis of the various nationalities or regions. I also believe that we should move slowly and surely towards a truly federal system of government, not the unitary system of government with a federal facade, which is what we have today. We need to devolve power from the center, give power to the various nationalities, give power to the regions, and so on and so forth. And most important of all, we have to come together to determine whether the Nigerian people actually want to remain as one. Now, I am of the view that we should remain together, but we need to put that to the test. We need to have a conference, put it to referendum, let the people determine whether they want to remain together. If we agree that we want to remain together, then we have to define what are the terms of our unity. Is it a secular state? Are we sure we want a secular state, or is it a religious state? You know, are we? You know, how do we develop power? The issue of revenue allocation, is it going to be based on derivation? These are the fundamental issues of the day. And
okay,
it's time for us to come together and do that.
I'm going to ask you another question here now. If there's a vote, a referendum in Nigeria, and there's a vote for Nigeria to break into whatever number of countries, and that will stop the violence, that will bring good governance to the new countries, would you support that? Would you vote yes?
There's a basic principle in international law, and I think it's a rule that should govern humanity in any civilized community. It's called the principle of self-determination. As far as I'm concerned, if any nationality in this country determines within themselves, based on a referendum, that they want to go their separate way, or they have no interest in being part of Nigeria anymore, then I would be the last person to suggest that they should remain within the federation. If you look at the Ethiopian constitution, they have that provision within it. It's never been exercised, but they have it there. What we need to do is make Nigeria attractive enough for every nationality to want to remain within. And the only way you can do that is to have a very weak center, devolve power, and give the various ethnic nationalities and regions far more authority and far more autonomy. We had that in the First Republic.
What if I say, what if I say Chief FEMI-FANI KAYODE is just seeking relevance? I mean, you've lost out of power, you're no longer a minister. You're just creating these controversies to bring attention to yourself.
If you say that, I would say first of all that it's completely out of touch with reality. I would also tell you that this FEMI-FANI KAYODE you're talking about has been involved in politics for 23 years. And if you go and look at his record, he's been saying these things for the last 23 years, up until the time that he got into government. Whilst he was in government, he was considered to be one of the more radical elements within the government. If you want to cross-check, ask Obasanjo himself. I said it throughout our time in government, not publicly, but privately. And since we left government, I've been saying the same thing. So it's not a new song for me. It's not a new gospel. I've been talking about these issues long before some of these guys that are talking now were even born, or that even went to school. And I'm committed to it. And I mean what I'm saying. Ever since the June 12th issue, there were various issues in this country that I realized that there were various fundamental issues in this country that we needed to settle. And you talk about relevance. I don't need to seek relevance simply because I have been relevant. I've operated at the highest levels of government in this country. What more do I want? And it's been a privilege to serve this country. I wasn't born into government. I don't need government to survive. What I will do, however, is make an input into the affairs of my country to make it a better place. And that's what real leaders are supposed to do. Sit back and just say all is well.
Talking about serving the country, I want to bring your attention to this, and I want you to correct me if I'm wrong. There were quite a number of plane crashes when you were Minister of Aviation in Nigeria. And you said they were being caused by witches and wizards. How would a federal minister make such proclamation, if indeed you did say that?
First of all, your assertion, I think we should try and base some of these questions on some elements of truth. You know, first of all, there were absolutely no plane crashes under my tenure. Okay. As a matter of fact, since 2002 up until today, I'm the only Minister of Aviation that we've ever had in our country where there was not one plane crash, helicopter crash, or drop of blood under my watch. Not one. So that's number one assertion is wrong. Number two assertion about witches and wizards, I never use those words. If you look at, if you watch the public hearings on the that we had in 2008, yes. What I said, and I was very clear, was that given the fact that the year before I came in, 453 people died in plane crashes in 1 year, in 5 separate plane crashes, that it was important for us to put a lot of hard work in, and apart from that, a lot of prayer. And there was a spiritual dimension to these occurrences, and I can explain that to you if you like. I believed that then, I still believe it now. Now, obviously, I must have got it right, simply because 3 months after I left, the same cycle of crashes that had occurred before I got there started again and have been continuing ever since. Basically, my position is this. You must work hard, you must ensure safety and security, you must make sure everybody does his job, and at the same time, you must pray very hard, because there are people in this country that actually belong to various cults, that actually do all sorts of things that are absolutely bizarre and disgraceful. I will also tell you something else. Yeah. Most of the crashes that took place before I came there, when we investigated it, we realized and we discovered the fact that every single report that was ever given by the aviation authorities were fake reports. What we relied on were the NTSB American reports, and if you base it on that, you would discover that there was a lot more to those crashes that meets the eye, and that the government of the day were prepared to tell the world. Yeah, and I did the right thing by telling the world and by writing the president and bringing my observations to his attention. I will still do a follow-up on that. You know, during the unfortunate Dana plane crash, you wrote a very strong article against the present Minister of Aviation. Would you want to compare your time as aviation minister to the current? I mean, she's made some revolutionary changes. She's building airports. She's redesigning tarmac area. Give us some credit. No, I didn't make any criticisms of the present Minister of Administration. of Aviation. I'm very careful about criticizing people who occupy offices that I once worked in. I think it's something that I avoid doing because I don't want to make their work any harder than it is. What I did say, however, I was referring to the cycle of crashes, which were, you know, it was not part of her tenure. I mean, what I wrote about were crashes since 2002, and I listed all of them, and I established the fact that 90% of them took place on weekends, which was a very strange phenomenon. I also established the fact there was a 10-year cycle of plane crashes in our country, and there are 2 cycles, and it's been going on for quite some time. I also observed the fact that I felt it was wrong that the Dana Air should fly again when all the passengers, their families had not been fully compensated. I think that was the limit. That was where that was the only area that I criticized. But coming to the issue of comparisons, which you raised, I don't think it's appropriate to do that. I mean, if you feel that aviation is all about beautifying airports and expanding the airport halls and things, that's fair enough. I am more concerned about safety, security, and ensuring that people can get from one place to the other safely and soundly. And we did a lot when we were there, but I would not want to be the one.
I'll get back to the issue of the national question now. Would you say the Boko Haram crisis in northern Nigeria and the mass killing going on, has it got any link with the quest for self-determination?
No, I don't, Kayode, and I'll tell you why. First of all, the whole Boko Haram thing, as far as I'm concerned, it started out as a way of shaking the present government that we have that's in power, and certain people felt that they could use Boko Haram to somehow shake the foundations of the government. I think that's how the whole thing started. I think the whole thing was hijacked by people that were teleguiding it from behind. But however, having said that, I think an international dimension came into it, and the whole concept of Islamism, and what I mean by that is not Islam, but Islamist. There's a distinction between the two. Islamic fundamentalism crept into the whole thing and hijacked the whole thing until it became a fire, raging fire. The people that believe in an Islamic fundamentalist state and a caliphate state are very few in our country. They constitute a tiny minority of Muslims. They do not represent the majority of Nigerian Muslims. So there cannot be any question of them being a reflection of the thinking of the people of northern Nigeria or the Muslims of northern Nigeria. It's just their own little agenda of a few people. And violence is something that we must never accept. No matter what, even if it reflects the thinking of the majority of people, which it doesn't, once you start killing people to effect that, then you completely nullify yourself. You're no longer relevant to the issues.
Chief FEMI-FANI KAYODE, I would have to interrupt you there. We're going to go on a short break. We've put together a Ben TV production crew put together speeches made by Chief Obafemi Awolowo, Tafawa Balewa, Ojukwu, and we want our viewers to listen to that. When we come back, we're going to have Pamela Braid in the studio, and we'll take it from there. Please don't go away.
Okay. Oh, thanks.
From the bottom of my heart, I congratulate our entire people of Nigeria and the people of Britain for this happy culmination of a political adventure which began in Nigeria less than 100 years ago. In the years that lie ahead, those of us who have the good fortune to lead our people will need statesmanship of a high order and God's guidance in managing the affairs of our country for the benefit of every Nigerian citizen.
I wish to make our position plain beyond any matter of doubt as regards the African continent. We in Nigeria appreciate the advantages which the size of our country and of its population give us, but we have absolutely no aggressive intentions. We shall never impose ourselves upon any other country and shall treat every African territory, big or small, as our equal, because we honestly feel that it is only on that basis of equality that peace can be maintained in our continent. When we hear the world crying out for peace, we may receive the inspiration to deal with these intractable problems and be able really to devote all our resources to the advancement of mankind by applying those eternal truths which will inevitably persist long after we ourselves are utterly forgotten.
Restore peace and harmony, I would gladly do so. I've been doing that all my life. And even when I was in the country before coming here, and when the Constitution was in force, assuming the Constitution has been abrogated now, when it was in force, I'm supposed to be a constitutional head of state. And I'm referred to as other constitutional heads of state as power of the country. And we have proved that an opposition can exist in Africa and also succeed. I don't agree with some writers in the British press who are beginning to say that Mr. Ian Smith may be wrong after all in transferring power to an African majority. I think that those people generalize. If they have to write within the context of the experience of Nigeria, they will agree that the assumption is not effectual. From the information at my disposal, the cabinet decided to transfer power to him as the general officer commanding the armed forces.
It will for us be the price for freedom. Our people here have for a long time been prepared for this eventuality, and I am confident of their readiness. I think that when it does come, the people on the other side would be surprised as to what they're going to get. And I'm confident that it will not last long.
Watching. And you've listened to Chief Obafemi Awolowo, Nnamdi Azikiwe, Odumegwu Ojukwu, Tafawa Balewa. All sounds confusing. They seem to want different things for Nigeria. And we don't have a clear voice. The issue of the national question is even the founding fathers had different perspective about where they want us to go. Pamela, you're welcome to POLItricks with KO, and welcome to London. The first thing I need to ask you, you're from the Niger Delta.
Yes, I am.
How many billions of the amnesty money have you been able to divert to your pocket as a militant, a product of Niger Delta? You're the main people now that we should all be looking at and asking for resource control from.
Well, you didn't see any layers of protocol you had to reach me through, so I think that could answer the question.
So what's your view? Let's first look at the issue of this amnesty thing. How much are we paying this amnesty, these ex-militants? How many are they?
Well, last year, I think there were a little over 30,000. And the 2012 budget had had proposed, the budget proposal was, I think, 70 million. And there was a to-do about it. I think Asari complained bitterly. And
millions or billions?
Billions. Yeah. And they added 50. So I think it's about 120
So
million.
we're paying about 32,000 young men and women 150 billion naira because they come from the Niger Delta. Rehabilitation, training,
courses, training, admin,
that is
allowances.
Probably that is FFK. Are you still on the line?
I most certainly am, yes.
Probably that is why people are calling for a national question. They want their own small enclave, because we've heard from Pamela, we've got 150 billion naira to just 32.
I think it's 20.
120 billion naira to how many militants?
37,000.
30-something thousand militants. Probably when we have this Oduduwa Republic of our own confederation, then we'll start.
No, let me tell you that if we're able to get to that, well, first of all, the cry for to answer the nationality question predates the challenges that we've had or that we have in the Niger Delta area.
Exactly.
It predates even our independence. That's the first thing. Secondly, if we were to come to it, you would base your revenue allocation. It would be based on derivation. In other words, nobody would be going cap in hand to the federal government asking for any money. The people that have the oil can keep their oil. Those that have cocoa can make money through their cocoa, whatever it is, self-sustaining, and you just basically survive on what you have or what you can develop in your backyard.
Now,
so I don't think we're interested in the Niger Delta money.
Okay, now that's a fair point from FEMI-FANI KAYODE. What's your position? You're from the Niger Delta. What's your position of the national question?
My position on the national question, I'm not a big fan of sovereign national conferences or anything, because I'm very, very jaded and cynical about who is going to be speaking on behalf of whom. And that's one of the problems we've had in this country, Who is going to go there to talk? Is it not going to be the same circus and all that? I feel that when we're talking about true federalism, whatever it means, I tend to agree with Chief there, and I really think that each region should produce and be self-sufficient as much as possible, and not this over-dependence on oil coming. It's caused so much distortion, so much violence, so much bloodletting. Distortion is the word. So we have these cycles every 4 years of people gathering at one feeding trough, and you see all the drama that emanates from it in our politics and everything else. It stems largely from
now, let me ask you this. The presidency has been zoned, or we now have a South-South president, and you visit the southern region of Nigeria regularly. I am really worried. Has it increased the environment of the people? Are people happier? Do they have infrastructure? Has the Jonathan presidency benefited the people of the Niger Delta, apart from the 120 billion we're giving to 32,000 people? What benefit have they been able to get from this presidency?
KAYODE. I don't know. I would say whatever happens in the rest of Nigeria is what's happening in the South-South. You forget that we also have state governors, don't we? Yeah.
Okay.
And local government chairmen as well.
So they are not doing as much as they should?
I'm not saying they are doing as much. The president is not going to develop the whole of every single section of the country. We have state governors and, all of that as
now,
well.
Chief FANI KAYODE, how would you react to the... we've had, I would tell you that Yorubas thought with the Obasanjo presidency, that was Uhuru. And I can tell you that from Lagos Airport to Ota, we had the worst, that's the road leading to Obasanjo's village. Nothing happened, he didn't do anything. Now, we had Yoruba presidency for 8 years, and we're hearing from Pamela now that the Niger Delta doesn't seem to have benefited well enough. Is it not the issue of leaders being accountable rather than the national question of everybody having confederation?
No. Yeah, it's not. It's a much more fundamental issue than that. And of course, the Obasanjo presidency was not perfect, and there are a number of things that were not done, but there was a hell of a lot that was done. If you talk about the Niger Delta area, you ask who set up the NDDC, who gave them 30% derivation, which is what they still enjoy today, and so many other things. I don't want to go into all that, but there was so much that was done at that time for the Niger Delta area people. But going back to the fundamental issue of a national conference, you see, the problem is this. Under the present structure, you're not going to have much change. Nothing will change until you actually get everybody to sit around the table and agree on the terms of our union. Regardless of who is going to lead. I mean, Pamela was talking about the same old people. It's left to the people in the various regions and nationalities that make up the nationalities to elect their own leaders and to go and represent them. For example, let me give you an example. The 13% derivation that the people of the Niger Delta area are enjoying today is an enormous amount of money. It was the government that I served that told the world just how much, for example, Delta State was getting a number of years back. And all the Niger Delta State, billions and billions per month they were making from oil revenues.
Okay.
Yet, what did they use the money for? Now, if they want more than 13%, and they're quite, it's quite legitimate to ask for more. You're not going to get it from the Nigerian Federation. You're only going to get that if you sit around the table and say, look, we want 50% derivation, we want 100%, like we had in the First Republic, and we want to, this oil belongs to us. It's our resource. We want to use it for our own people. If you want to squander it and not bring development, that's up to you. Okay, but we don't want our oil to be taken to the center to be shared for the rest of the country.
Chief KAYODE,
kind of change.
Before we
have a national conference.
We're soon going to let you go, but before you go, let me ask you this question. The first one I'm going to ask you is, do you have any regrets about the article you wrote, your last article? No. And then the second one I'm going to... Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. Well, certainly not. Why would I... Look, listen, why on earth would I have any regrets for telling the truth about what I believe is happening in my country? I have no regrets at all. What I regret, however, is the fact that people seem to have misconstrued me based on one article or about 3 articles, which were basically reactions to the kind of things that were being written and said about me and my people. People will now judge me based on that. I've been writing for almost 23 years.
Okay.
Nobody's talking about the fact that if I may just finish, nobody's talking about the fact that only last year I wrote an article about Ojukwu when he died, paying tribute to him. Nobody talked about the fact that I wrote an article 2 years ago about the virtues of Igbo women and how far they've gone in the last 10 years, much to the annoyance of women in other parts of the country.
Okay, is the tradition of this program to give the public a voice? We're going to start taking phone calls, and we want the public to throw questions to you. And if you can't hear the question, I'll just repeat those questions, and we'll take it from there. What is your impression of Chief Pamela?
The last question, I think that those last 3 articles, whatever message was trying to be sent out was lost in a lot of things that didn't need to be said the way they were said. And it was just a distraction. It was just a total distraction. The message was lost. No meaningful conversation was had. And that's my personal opinion. And truth is subjective too. Your truth is your opinion.
Let me respond. KAYODE, if I may, let me respond to that. Okay?
Yes.
First of all, if somebody has an issue with anything I've written, the right thing to do is to write a rejoinder as hundreds and thousands of people.
There's so many rejoinders.
Not only that, just as you feel that it's a distraction, there are millions of people who also feel that what I've said has reflected their thinking accurately. Now, even if I'm the only one that thinks that, it's just a question of opinion. And I think that it's right and proper for anybody to write whatever they feel is relevant on any significant issue. If anybody can dispute one historical fact or historical assertion that I've made and tell me it's not true in any of those 2 or 3 articles, I'll be glad to hear it. Up until now, I've not heard that. Now, whether anybody likes it or not, my own thinking on this issue, that is the issue of the deportations of the people from Lagos State that were sent out, reflects the thinking of many, many, many Yoruba people.
Pamela, do you agree?
I'm sorry. I think it's very contradictory to talk about true federalism, resource control, own your resources, this is my land, you want to own all of it, blah, blah, blah. When Lagos was the state capital of Nigeria, it's not Cocoa that built all of it. I mean, how do you reduce the contributions of people, the taxes of people? People move to places, and as our generations are coming up, there are people who really don't know anywhere else. There are Yoruba people in my town in Calabar that speak Efik.
I'm going to let Ade. I'll let a caller come in. Ade, good evening. Chief, I'll let you respond to Pamela. Let's just quickly have Ade. Ade, good evening.
Good evening, Kayode.
Please make your contribution.
Yeah, Kayode, much as you yourself, you are passionate about Nigeria.
Yeah.
You see, when we begin to talk about ethnic region or whatever, it is imperative for us to ask ourselves, do we really want to be Nigeria? Look, whether we like it or not, you have to belong to an ethnic group before you can be in Nigeria. If you want to do it the way American does it, that is another thing entirely. But what I think is, like Pamela said, who are the people that are going for the Sovereign National Conference to decide to have it? Look, there are ways people conduct referendum in their country. It is just that whatever we want to do, if we are to elect people for this Sovereign National Conference tomorrow, how are we sure there will not be the same
set of people? Okay, Ade, I'm going to have to cut you short there. I'm really sorry. Chief KAYODE, are you still with us?
Yeah, I'm still with you.
Did you hear? Are you going to respond to Pamela and Ade? Ade was saying that we're still going to have the same people.
Okay, what I was trying to say to Pamela was this. I mean, she was talking about all these fundamental issues that we needed to resolve, and that how could you now marry that with what we're saying? Look, the very foundation of our country is, you know, the basis under which we are united or we remain as one country is basically on the agreement that we would have a federal structure. At the same time, you cannot wish away ethnic nationalities. Nobody is interested in driving anybody from anyone else's land. However, it is right and proper for each and every one of us, from wherever we come from, to fight for the rights of the local people that are in that place. And to sort of say Lagos happens to be a capital at one point. Yes, it was. So was Calabar. But nobody will go to Calabar and say that Calabar is no man's land. It doesn't matter. Lagos.
Well, let me put it to
Calabar has so many settlers. That's the one place you can.
Please,
come to Calabar.
Let me also say this. Please, let me also say this. That she spoke about the fact that, you know, the money that developed Lagos did not come from Cocoa. Let me tell you something. If Lagos and if the Southwest generally had been allowed to continue to develop at its own pace, as you know, even post the Civil War, as it had been doing up until between 1950 and 1966, we would have gone far ahead by now. At that point in time, the industrial area of Lagos was part of the Western region, and we had first in virtually everything. So Lagos was highly developed at the time.
Okay, let me give Pamela a chance here. Pamela, he's got a point there. Is it not true that it's the ethnic nationality in Nigeria that make up the country Nigeria? Without those ethnic nationalities, Nigeria.
Look, I interact with lots of young people. I do so much training, leadership. You know, some of these things we talk about, the average 16, 14, they don't understand what you're talking about. They don't know where their villages are. They haven't been there. Okay. They don't speak their languages. They don't identify with anything. If they don't have that one name in their name that looks as if it comes from one place, it's not there. So I know people in Calabar that speak just Efik. They don't speak their language.
So what would be the priority of young people?
So I think that as we even go, some of these issues we have right now, searching for answers. I think we are also trying to be overly creative about looking for answers. Things are fairly simple and plain. One, I believe that states should try as much as possible to generate their own revenue. All these reliance on the center, it just breeds all kinds of distortion and other things.
But
there's no time.
But it's not the fault of states, though. If the
I understand. We need to have a conversation.
Yeah.
And we need to restructure. But I think the restructuring is more, for me, more fiscal than anything else.
Okay. I'll take Chris. Good evening, Chris.
Hello.
Chris, good evening. Make your contribution, please.
Yeah, I want to contribute based on the ethnicity of Nigeria and what makes up Nigeria. Like in Aburi Accord of 1966, where Ojukwu lead the delegates of the Southeastern region, Aburi, which says that confederation system of government, which is the only thing that can make Nigeria progress. Like here in UK, whereby you have Wales, Scottish, Northern Ireland, and England.
Yeah.
Doing their things, and at the end they will have a Great Britain, which was one of the ideas Ojukwu brought, that Eastern region, Northern region, and Western region. Like now, we said no, that we want Nigeria whereby the center will become stronger and the region will become weak. And Mr. Femi, who is talking there, that when it was his regime as the Minister of Aviation, I was in Nigeria, whereby Port Harcourt Airport is not functional for not less than 9 months, and nothing was done. In Enugu State, whereby the whole entire eastern part of Nigeria, there is no international airport apart from this one that just started yesterday. So tell me the true federalism. And I like people like him, whereby when they go out from the government, they start criticizing. When he was in PDP, he never saw the mistakes of the PDP.
Okay, in all fairness, I'll let Chief FEMI-FANI, can you hear Chris's statement there?
I didn't hear what he said.
Okay, Chris is saying that under the Obasanjo administration, in which you served as Federal Minister of Aviation, Enugu Airport was non-functional. Now it's international airport. Port Harcourt Airport was grounded for as much as 9 months, and that your campaign for true federalism did not reflect in your performance.
Okay, the problem with Nigerians is that when you're talking about an issue, they start going back to issues that are not actually connected. Let me explain that. First of all, you spoke about Enugu Airport. When I became Minister of Aviation, we did all we could to resurrect Enugu Airport. It was not an international airport, but at least it was functioning, and it was functioning, but it wasn't an international airport. When I got to office, Port Harcourt Airport had been closed for months because there had been an air crash there and the runway was not fit. I'm the person that awarded the contract for that runway to functioning, and I made sure it was finished just before we left. It was commissioned about 3 months after we left office because of the work I did at Port Harcourt Airport. So we opened up that corridor, and I did it at a very, very fast pace because I realized that the people of the Southeast and the South needed to have that airport open. So that's what I did. But that's under Obasanjo's administration. That's long gone. We are talking about the issue of, we're talking about the issue of nationality and...
Yeah. Okay, are you still there?
Let me just say this. You see, the fundamental point is that we are repeating the mistakes of the past. I mean, Pamela's submissions are very, very interesting and convincing. But you see, the problem is this. And Nnamdi Azikiwe said something many years ago. He said we should ignore our differences. And Ahmadu Bello told him, no, we should recognize our differences and try to work on them.
Okay,
we have not been able to. Yeah.
I'm going to have Ahmed. I've got a phone call from Ahmed. Ahmed, good evening.
Good evening. This is
where are you calling from, please?
I'm calling from Essex.
Okay, please go ahead.
Calling from Essex.
I can hear you, please, Ahmed. Make your contribution, please.
Okay. My question is to Chief FEMI-FANI.
Okay.
Yeah. There have been projections that PDP would implode, and it's happening in our presence now. We can see that.
Yeah.
So going forward, if what the previous callers and the issue of the day materializes, which is division of Nigeria and the Western region stand on its own, which is the part of Nigeria that I'm from, although I could say I'm a nationalist.
Yeah.
The question is, what role does Chief FEMI-FANI intend to play? because it's just cross-carpeted from one party to the
Okay,
other.
I'll put that question across to him immediately. Chief FEMI-FANI KAYODE, Ahmed's question is that now PDP has imploded, and I was made to understand we've lost Femi. Okay, we've lost Femi there. That was an interesting point of view from Ahmed. That what role will people like Fani KAYODE and those who have been in PDP before play in a post-PDP government in Nigeria? What do you think?
That's what role would they play? It's more of the same thing. To be very honest, I've not seen much difference, from the new parties in terms of selling themselves to us by their actions or by their deeds. Maybe it's too early to say, but I don't share the same optimism that people have.
I would just want to take this debate because you just came in from Nigeria. What is the real situation of things at home? Because we read on the newspaper, we follow social media, and we make conclusions. What are the progress being made? Where do we still need to work on?
We need to work on so many things. Well, as you're talking to me, you're aware that there are strikes. I mean, there's a university, people are at home, there are strikes, our power isn't quite sorted, and, all the same. There isn't so much of a discernible difference right now. People are still largely very frustrated. You go to the embassies, there are lines, not lines because they organize it differently, but there are hordes of Nigerians
trying to get out of the country.
Still trying to get out of the country. I would say that people are pretty frustrated. That's why you have all these arguments on you have all these arguments on social media hyping the breakup of PDP. I don't think it's anything to rejoice about that a party has a national convention and two delegations are fighting at the convention.
So you don't think it's anything to... AGK, we have AGK. AGK, good evening.
Good evening.
Where are you calling from, AGK?
I'm calling from Berkshire, Hungerford in Berkshire.
Okay, go ahead, AGK.
All right, yeah, I just want to make a little contribution to the issue of nationality in Nigeria. So, ever since the Nigerian independence, that national question has not been resolved. I mean, we saw how it led to the events of the 60s, the Civil War and all that. Now, the fundamental thing is this, like an earlier caller said, are we really ready to be a nation, right? Now, if we really, 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 really want to be a nation, we really have to forget our differences. I mean, there's no two ways about it. Do we want to be a proper modern nation, or do we want to go back to the pre-modern days of, the Oduduwa people, the Igbo people,
yes,
which wasn't even a proper nation then? Do we want to go back to the Benin Empire, to the days of slave trade, where we had inter-tribal wars, killing one another?
So AGK, we have to choose between what we have now. I would have to cut you so that we can have another caller in. You've made your point, and I appreciate that. Ayo, good evening, Ayo.
Hi, yeah, good evening.
Ayo, what's your contribution, and where are you calling from?
Okay, I'm actually calling from Manchester, and my basic contribution is I was listening to the program from the beginning and up till now. I think the discussion is going on the wrong way. Okay. The way you should go about it is not about who owns what land and who owns where and how. I think the Igbo people have actually contributed a lot to Lagos, but you shouldn't say Lagos is your homeland.
Okay.
And however, we should allow people move anywhere they want to move to make that their own economic contributions. I think the problem about this basically is who is contributing what. If the northern part is also functioning properly and the south have their own 13%
derivation,
which is fantastic. But the problem about the issue is we don't have good quality of leadership in power. That's why up to now, I'm in England now, but since when I've been in Nigeria and still I've been young, we still had ASU strikes and all that up till now, and they've not found a good solution to it.
Okay.
While senators are still receiving $1 million a day or in a year. So basically, it's just the quality of leadership. And I think, so if you study the discussion in that way, instead of going about, well, who owns what land, people are contributing. People, entertainment industry, the movie industry, everybody's doing fine. The problem is the quality of leadership.
Okay, in terms of the quality of...
I think the quality of leadership is very reflective.
Thanks for calling.
I think the quality of leadership is reflective of the quality of the followership as well. When I hear... I'm not, as I said, I'm not a huge fan of a sovereign national conference because I fail to see why that stops anybody from going to their local government area. Okay, let's say we are all ethnic nationalities first and foremost. How many people know who their LGA chairman is in the village they're from? How many care? When the resources are not used properly. It's not that there are no resources. When they are not used properly, who complains about it? We have all these abstract things, but when it comes down to the nitty-gritty, we are not doing it. We are not running for office. We are not campaigning for people. You say you love your home. Go to your home and sort it out. So nobody is doing anything.
Your last word, Pamela.
My last word is that, you know, we need to make the best of what we have now. We can't wait until we meet and talk. No. Right now, let's do what we can do wherever we are. We need to get involved.
Okay, we need to get involved. We really want to say thank you for getting involved. I want to thank the production staff in Ben TV. They've been doing a very wonderful job. I want to thank the viewers and the callers. This is Ben Television broadcasting live from London, and we are going to end with a video. Thanks so much for joining us. Good night. See you next Thursday. It's POLItricks with KO, your program.
From the bottom of my heart, I congratulate our entire people of Nigeria and the people of Britain for this happy culmination of a political adventure which began in Nigeria less than 100 years ago. In the years that lie ahead, those of us who have the good fortune to lead our people will need statesmanship of a high order and God's guidance in managing the affairs of our country for the benefit of every Nigerian citizen.
I wish to make our position plain beyond any matter of doubt as regards the African continent. We in Nigeria appreciate the advantages which the size of our country and of its population give us, but we have absolutely no aggressive intentions. We shall never impose ourselves upon any other country and shall treat every African territory, big or small, as our equal, because we honestly feel that it is only on that basis of equality that peace can be maintained in our continent. When we hear the world crying out for peace, we may receive the inspiration to deal with these intractable problems and be able really to devote all our resources to the advancement of mankind by applying those eternal truths which will inevitably persist long after we ourselves are utterly forgotten.
Restore peace and harmony, I would gladly do so. I've been doing that all my life. And even when I was in the country before coming here, and when the Constitution was in force, assuming the Constitution has been abrogated now, when it was in force, it's supposed to be a constitutional head of state. And I'm referred to as other constitutional head of state as power of the country. And we have proved that an opposition can exist in Africa and also succeed. I don't agree with some writers in the British press who are beginning to say that Mr. Ian Smith may be wrong after all in transferring power to an African majority. I think that those people generalize. If they have to write within the context of the experience of Nigeria, they will admit something is not effectual. From the information at my disposal, the cabinet decided to transfer power to him as the general officer commanding the armed forces.
It will for us be the price of freedom. Our people here have for a long time been prepared for this eventuality, am confident of their readiness. I think that when it does come, that the people on the other side would be surprised as to what they're going to get. And I'm confident that it will not last long.
Watching BN Television, the Bridge and the Gap channel.